Sometimes you can't say nothing. You just wave your hands and moan. And the thing about that is that the Lord understands exactly what you're talking about. People to your left and right, and the enemy, they might stay confused. But all I gotta
Let me thank our musician who's filling in for us on today. He has to get to his service. And then I want to thank Cameron, who I politely had said he had the day off because yesterday we celebrated. I don't know what it is about our musicals. Folk like to get engaged and married in our musicals. But last night he got engaged at the musical. Very proud of you. Very proud of you. We say, don't be no speed. Amen. Amen. I don't need no tickets on my record. Amen. And then God bless you. Good morning, Macedonia. Good to be in the house of the Lord one more time. And one of the deacons politely told me, you need to take the chair to reinstate your membership in our church as you've been gone a couple of Sundays, and so you need to reinstate your membership. So can I come back to the Macedonia church family? It was good to see you. Good to be here. Well, hi, Brother Superintendent. How you doing? Good to see you in South Bend. How's the weather? You're used to it up there anyway, so it hasn't really turned yet, has it? Yeah, good to see you. Good to have you here with us. The spells with us, and then good to be here. Now, I am pushing through, and so let me hug everybody today. Good to see you. I'm fighting whatever's going in the air. And at this point, I told the Lord, God, I have too much to do to get sick now. Now, whatever you want to do after graduation, I'm 4 weeks away. So in my counting, I'm 4 weeks away, 5 quizzes, 20 small papers, 1 major completion of dissertation, and then oral arguments through getting done. It's important for my mother. It's not important for me, but my mom has prayed too much for me for her not to see her prayer be manifested by me walking across that stage. I'm going to walk across that stage in my cap and gown and diploma to my mama. It's going to go in the Bible, which everything in our house goes in the Bible, so if you can't find anything, go to the Bible. And I promise you, everything you want to ever find is in the Bible to show history, and then we'll figure out, pray with me and for me as it relates to where we go from here concerning D-Min or EDD or PhD, I don't know. I'm sick of school, but clearly school ain't sick of me. But right now I told the Lord, let's get the wife through her executive master's program done at Notre Dame. I'm trying to make that work. Put that together, and let me go work at the house. That's what I'm trying to do. Amen. Amen. We had a wonderful night on last night with our musical. And so you see, there's always this kind of, we have to recover and repair from the musical, and so you still see some things that are up. The good thing about Jim Leap, who works with us, is that every time he leaves us from a musical, he leaves us better, which means he fixes things that are broke and considers that his contribution to the church. We will be altering, which will be better for our live streaming. Today it's not good because we're in the process of transitioning. So anybody that's going to the service today, the sound's not right in the service, because what we've noticed the past 3 or 4 weeks, those people who've been watching online, is that the sound is distorted as you're listening. It sounds right in-house, but it does not sound right online. It's because we have an analog board moving into a world where everything is going digital. And so Jim Leap, who has always been kind, has a heart, and as he says, he's been here so much over the years, every time he leaves stuff, is in the process of blessing our church with a digital board. It usually starts at about $2,200. He's blessing us. That's what I've learned about God. God keeps telling us, every time you keep looking around and you think we ain't got folk who help you, God will tell you, I got many folk in the city. If you ain't got folk in the house, I got you some friends in the city. They may not be members, but they appreciate what you're doing. And so I may have to go see Girly Leap one more time. Just because they've been kind to our church. Amen. So thank you so much for that. Now, on today, I have to push through twice, and so you will not believe me. But when I tell you I'm going to be done in a minute, I'm going to be done in a minute. Because I'm fighting. And I got to be, and I know that I say it all the time, today, watch what I say. Because I got to stand again at 4 o'clock, because today at 4 o'clock, Greater New Vision is coming over to have the official installation services for Pastor Ty Latz, who was already a pastor. He was a pastor of Fountain of Faith Church. But he decided, after receiving the call to become the pastor of Greater New Vision, he talked with his church. He didn't decide to merge his churches, but he decided, after talking with his church and praying with his church, that he felt the Lord was leading him to Greater New Vision, and the members decided that if the Lord is leading you to Greater New Vision, we go into Greater New Vision as well. So on the first Sunday he started, he immediately had 43 people who joined Greater New Vision. And so that church is making the official act of installing him as the pastor on today. There will be other pastors that are here to install him. There will be a charge to the church, a charge to the pastor, and then the official installation sermon, which I'm charged to do. Pastor Pettis is taking care of the morning section of that today. And if I would have been thinking right, I'd have just told all of them to come this way. We would have done it together, but I didn't want to take over another church's program. So you have to be respectful that that's still Greater New Vision. With that being said, some of y'all who can smell and are nosy, notice that there are decorations and things downstairs. Let me be clear. First of all, that is for Greater New Vision, as Greater New Vision is feeding their people. With that being said, Greater New Vision has been kind enough to say that anybody from Macedonia that wants to stay over and eat with them, you're more than welcome, because they know they're going to be with us next week when we are the ones doing the cooking and the serving. So they are inviting all of you who want to, not only to be here at the 4 o'clock service, but if you want to stay and eat with the church family, they're beginning to eat at 2 o'clock. I laughed and said, if Pettis is preaching, it ain't going to be 2 o'clock, but that's me joking, because I could say the same thing about me. But after he got done hollering last night, he may not have a voice left. I politely told him, I said, I'd be mad if he was preaching for me, and you holler like that, and if you dare to try to be hoarse in the morning, I'd fight you in the pulpit. But they're eating at 2 o'clock on the day. You're more than invited to be with them. Now, on next Sunday, we celebrate officially 94 years of life that the Macedonia Church has been here. 94 years is an amazing accomplishment, and it speaks to all of the pastors that have been at this church before us. The longest tenured pastor being Pastor F.D. Johnson, who served some 35 years here at this church. And so it celebrates all the pastors and all the leaders. Started in the living room of Virginia and William Wolfe with a church known as the Gospel Light Mission that began to grow outside of the living room. They purchased land on Catawba Street, and they stayed there until Catawba got too big for them and moved over to 1862 North Olive Street, where the edifice that we are in now was built in the 60s, 67, and then the annex on the side was built in 1976. And we have the chance to give back to the church what was given to us. Everything they bought, they paid for, and then paid off. Thank God for people like Sister Gamage, who gave me the programs where I could see the burning ceremony, the mortgage burning, and all of those things. Later on down the road, because of other things, church remortgaged itself in debt. When I got here, $70,000 plus in debt. When asked where it was in assets, couldn't find it. Promised the church that things would get worse before they get better, but if you stay with us, things will get better. And thankfully, by the grace of God, on the 94th church anniversary, we can go back to what the church used to have, and that would be it owns itself free and clear, and there is no more. I don't mean we still owe individuals, but thank God we don't owe institutions. And then thank God for the people who sacrificed over and beyond. You have no idea the people who have helped make it work. It was hard because in a lot of cases you're pulling dead weight because some people wanted things to fail, so they folded their arms and watched. But there were other people who decided to say, listen, we're going to get through it. Some way, somehow, God's going to get us through it. And I pray that the Lord will bless and keep those people who are doing that. Well, here's the good news. The good news is I didn't charge my iPad, and I'm on 10%. And my voice is on 6%. So let me not try to be fancy. Let me, in my mind, say out loud my test that I got to take when y'all leave, between 2 and 4, so I can take my test. If I was playing with translations in the Bible, translations in the Bible would be, we have what we call formal equivalents, we have what we call functional equivalents, and we have what's called optimal equivalents. These are the categories for how do you determine what kind of translation you have in your Bible. A formal equivalence Bible is a Bible that decides to look at the translation word for word. It is concerned strictly with being accurate. We want to make sure that we have translated the words correctly. And so an English Standard Version, a New American Standard Bible, a New Revised Standard Version are concentrated with being accurate. Yet there are other Bibles that are not concerned with being necessarily accurate, but they're concerned with being clear. They want to have clarity in their reading. And so they're not word for word, but they're thought for thought, or idea for idea. They want to know that when you're done reading the text, you understand what you're reading. And so the New Living Translation